Yo, what's up? What's up? It's your boy Domuto. We are back with another video today watching They're Breaking the NBA Again by JxmyHighroller. And of course he's talking about the Warriors. These niggas won't go away. They take like a year or two off and they just come back cold as shit. Like they hooping again. I don't like it. I thought they were done for this time. I was tired. Not just playing, but shout out to the Warriors. I ain't gonna lie. Shout out to Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? For they still put a good team together. Like it's the Warriors organization still putting a good team on the floor, man. I don't think they will win the championship, but they still doing their thing. So anyway, we about to get into the video. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and let's go.
Over the last decade, three-pointers have taken over the NBA. The shot transformed from a gimmick so underutilized that the league had to move the three-point line closer to the hoop just to incentivize teams to take more, to a shot that now determines the outcome of many games. But after an entire era of seemingly exponential growth, recently the barrage of three-pointers appeared to stabilize. In fact, the league had become so saturated with threes that the scales had flipped and two-pointers became slightly more valuable than three-pointers. Just like anything else, something that was good and effective, but only up to a certain point, and that point had been reached. The shot was pushed to its fullest extent, and the three-point revolution had met its inevitable conclusion. Except it didn't. This season, teams across the NBA are shooting more threes than ever before. Some teams with the majority of all of their shots being taken from beyond the arc. A new generation of stars more trigger-happy from three than the players that came before them. And games that feel like one long three-point contest. Is the NBA on a path to being a league featuring exclusively long balls, layups, and nothing else? Well, in 2015, right about the time the league began to shift away from the basket, Steph Curry attempted 8 three-pointers per game, the highest total in the league that season, and just the 5th player in NBA history to attempt at least 8 threes a game. By the next season, 3 other players joined him as ultra-high-volume three-point shooters. But by 2020, the number of players across the league attempting at least 8 threes a game jumped to 15. The three-point revolution was long in effect by this point, and it would remain at this level for the next few seasons. The league seemingly finding its equilibrium on threes and how many are even worth taking. Until this season, where there are 24 players in the NBA who are attempting what was once considered a historic amount of threes just a decade ago. Something is changing in the NBA right now. Are we nearing the end of the three-point era? Or are we just getting started?
On 2K, I attempt probably like 5.
Today's video is brought to you by SeatGeek. The NBA season is heating up. Your favorite artists are on tour, and y'all are gonna need some tickets. Now, you guys have used my promo code in 2016. In 2016, the Golden State Warriors completely redefined how basketball is played. For the first time, a team that centered their offense around the three ball proved that it can be a championship-winning strategy. And they weren't just a three-point-oriented team, they were the three-point team. They bucked age-old notions of what great basketball could look like. Their star duo, named after their shooting abilities, the most influential team of our generation. That season, the Warriors shot 31.6 three-pointers per game, the second most of any team in league history, and by far the most of any true championship caliber team. This season, every single team in the NBA attempts more threes a game than the 2016 Warriors did. Their influence reshaping the league far more than anyone could have anticipated. But teams aren't just shooting more threes than ever before. They are approaching the point where the majority of all shots taken in a game are three-pointers. Here's a game between the Hornets and the Celtics, and with 10:36 left in the third quarter, Jason Tatum attempts a three. The Hornets come back and attempt a three as well. Celtics turn it over, Hornets attempt a three. Celtics come down and attempt another three. Hornets come down and attempt a three, followed by a Celtics three, followed by a Hornets three, followed by another three. Celtics switch it up for a moment with a layup, and then right back to a Hornets three. Turnover, Hornets three, Celtics three, Hornets three, Celtics three. This was a real sequence in an NBA game. This actually happened. A 4-minute stretch where both teams combined for nearly 14 15 consecutive three-point attempts if it wasn't for an easy layup at the rim. This is insane, and it's not even out of the ordinary this season. Here's another sequence between the Celtics and the Knicks. Now, this was already a blowout, so you never know what you're going to get in these situations.
Right.
But how about a three ball followed up with a turnover, another three ball,
Okay,
and
they
another
were
three ball,
going for the record,
and another
though.
three ball, another turnover,
They were going for the
three
record,
ball,
so they don't
turnover,
count.
three ball. Oh, look, there's a layup. And then back to another three ball, and a turnover, and a three ball, and take a wild guess, a three ball. 3 straight minutes of three-pointers. 8 from the Celtics alone, and they missed all 8. But even this was nothing compared to what happened in a game between the Hornets and the Hawks. With a minute and 45 seconds left in the first quarter, the Hornets made a mid-range jump shot. What's so special about this mid-range bucket? Well, nothing, other than the fact that this would be the last shot they would make outside of layups and three-pointers for the rest of the entire game. For the next 37 minutes of game time, outside of free throws, every single point the Hornets scored until the end of the game was from right here or out here. In fact, throughout this entire game, the Hornets scored 120 points. Only 4 of them came from a shot that wasn't a three-pointer, a layup, or a free throw. Has the complex, rich, and diverse game that we love truly been reduced to this? It certainly feels that way at times. Through 100 games so far this season, a whopping 42% of all field goal attempts have been from beyond the three-point line, a total that has nearly doubled since 2012. Sometimes it feels like we're watching one big three-point contest, because at times, we are. In fact, at the current rate the league is going, which may or may not continue, half of all shots taken in an NBA game will be three-pointers by the 2032 season. But it's not just that teams are attempting more three-pointers. Teams have regressed to taking only the best, most efficient shots on the court. Three-pointers, layups when they're available, and hardly anything in between. Excluding free throws, 86% of all points scored from NBA teams this season have been from beyond the three-point line or within 6 feet of the basket. 20 years ago, only 65% of all points were scored from these zones. Now, this upward trend of near and far and nothing in between may not continue. Over the past few seasons, there has been some stagnation in three-point attempt rate, so there may be a shift in the other direction in the coming years. But the NBA tends to follow the leader. What are the winning teams doing, and how can we adapt, emulate, and optimize that style of play? And right now, as much as we can't stand it, winning basketball looks a lot like a three-point shootout. Before the beginning of this season, Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla said the team planned on shooting a lot more threes this year. They did the math, and it checked out. We need more threes. But outside of Harden's Rockets, last year's Celtics attempted more three-pointers than any other team in NBA history. It was a recipe that was so good, it helped them win a championship. How many more threes could they possibly shoot? 51. This year's Celtics are shooting 51 three-pointers per game. That is 56% of all of their field goal attempts. Arguably the best team in the league, coming off of a championship, is shooting 6 more three-pointers per game than any other team in league history. But are three-pointers and the sheer volume of them really a recipe for winning basketball? Is this truly the future of the game and what teams will need to do to compete? Well, so far this season, teams that win the three-point battle, when they score more net points from three-pointers than their opponent, have won 72% of the time. And this one metric has been more indicative to winning than just about any other. Last season, there was an 85.6% correlation between three-point percentage and winning percentage, the strongest correlation between the two variables in NBA history. Make more three-pointers.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this because, like, yeah, I don't even, like, from 10 years ago to now, I don't watch it nearly as much basketball as I used to. Obviously, I'm more busy than I was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was 16, so I was in high school. Of course, I had plenty of time to watch basketball. Now, I kind of, like, I can watch basketball games when I'm off, but sometimes I don't. It depends, right? Depends on the game, per se. But, yeah, like, I don't know. Even when I do watch basketball, I don't, like, watch it. I'm kind of, like, on my phone and shit. Like, contains to 10 years ago when I was in the game watching it. I don't know if it's the style of play now. I don't even know why I don't watch basketball as much as I used to, but I think it's the style of play now that it's just shooting. Like there's no strategy to it. There's not much of a strategy. Like pick and roll, pick and pop. ISO. Like I don't know. It's just boring sometimes. It's low-key just boring. Just who can outshoot somebody. And then like I guess the defense still people play defense, but I don't know. It's not the same.
Greatly increase your odds of winning the game. But that's pretty obvious. Of course, making more threes will better your odds. We have seen massive underdogs win games by pouring in three-pointers and hitting more than they probably should have. Will teams eventually reach the threshold of three-pointers that are worth taking in a game? Or is the shot just so valuable that we will inevitably see a league that finds no value in taking any shot outside of the long ball? There must be a sweet spot between shooting exclusively threes and no threes, where we will eventually see the limit of good, viable three-pointers. Oddly enough, the league may have already met that limit. As previously mentioned, three-pointers used to yield more points per shot than two-pointers for many years. Teams eventually figured this out and they capitalized on it. But this inadvertently led to two-pointers becoming more valuable. As teams focused their defensive efforts on stopping the three ball, they got spread thin, the rim opened wide up, offenses got rid of long mid-range jumpers, and for the first time in over 3 decades, two-pointers produced just as many points per shot as three-pointers. How do we know if or when teams are shooting too many threes? Well, intuitively, it would be at the point where three-pointers lose their statistical advantage over twos, which has already happened. The problem of too many threes has already statistically corrected itself. But despite this, the Celtics and many other teams are committed to shooting more threes than they previously did. They are aware of the data, and they still decided that upping their three-point rate is the answer. Steve Kerr has said that it would be hard for the Warriors to compete without shooting a high volume of threes. Mike Budenholzer said he thinks the sport is in a good place, and that threes create more space to be more athletic and dynamic going to the basket. Devin Booker, a player who utilizes and values the mid-range game as much as any player in the league, said the volume should be up. Attempting the three-point shot, not even making it, stretches out the defense and opens up better looks throughout the game. Teams know that the two-pointers today aren't as valuable as they are in spite of threes. Two-pointers today have become so valuable because of threes. As Devin Booker stated, even when they aren't going in, the spacing and ball movement that three-pointers provides to teams creates an incredible advantage compared to any other shot. In fact, it's no coincidence that points per shot on two-pointers began to climb rapidly at the same exact time as the three-point revolution. When you force teams to guard the three, you also force them to give up the two. This whole time, we've been watching these games thinking teams are shooting way too many threes. And all along, they weren't just shooting threes because they're worth more points. They've been shooting more threes to create more points in other areas. The direct benefits of volume three-pointers actually plateaued quite a while ago. Teams aren't yielding more points per shot on threes today than they did a decade ago. But the indirect benefits of volume threes continues to grow the more teams make and take them. Which means, in theory, the number of threes we're seeing teams take could continue to climb, despite the fact that they are already at the peak of their direct statistical advantage. But just how much further could this go? Well, this is where things get really interesting. If we ignore the caliber of teams and the efficiency of their shooting and just look purely at volume, then through over 150 games so far this season, teams have found by far the most success when they shoot somewhere between 46 and 52% of all of their shots from beyond the arc. This season, when teams put up a three-point attempt rate between 46 and 52%, they have won over 70% of the time. Meanwhile, teams that shoot at a rate outside of this hypothetical sweet spot have won just 48% of the time, which means despite as many three-pointers teams are shooting, statistically, they may still not be shooting enough. And it may only be a matter of time before teams use this information and slowly creep towards this rate of 50% of all of their shots consisting of three-pointers. Last week, Nick Wright had a great monologue discussing the advantages of volume three-point shooting and how teams who can design an effective offense built around them have an incredible statistical advantage.
The league needs to change some rules. They have finally figured out it's not only that 3 is worth more than 2, it's that 3 is worth a lot more than 2.
Right.
Because there's a 50% premium on 3-point shots. The smart way to play is probably what the Celtics did on opening night. Shoot 60 of them things. That is the best strategy. That is also terrible television. And I love the league. I love it. But this is not sustainable. At its core, the NBA is at its best when dudes are flying over people, meeting them at the rim. Hanging out at the three-point line, hoisting 30-footers is not good TV. And you are going down a path where the games are less compelling television and the fans are worried, do the players even care? It's just a warning to a league I love. You are playing a dangerous, dangerous game.
If what the Warriors did in the mid-2010s broke the game of basketball, then teams today are eviscerating it. They have essentially cracked the code. Decades of experimenting with different schemes and offensive designs and player personnel through trial and error has led teams to the correct answer. Nothing beats a bunch of good looks at 3. It may not be pretty. It may lack the nuance and diversity that we used to see in the league, but it has been proven to be the most effective method of winning basketball games. How much further can this possibly go? Well, fortunately, there seems to be an upper limit to the ideal volume of 3s before the returns become diminished. That limit is probably about 50%. Unfortunately for us, the NBA is still nowhere near that limit.
We're not at that limit. Damn. Hey, shout out to JxmyHighroller. But damn, that's crazy. Teams are yoking up them hoes. Damn, 50 a game is crazy. 50 a game, and it's like I said, it's boring though. It's like so boring. It's fun to watch if the team's hitting like the Celtics on the opening night. Like it's fun to watch if the team's hitting. But when the team's breaking, when your team is breaking like 5, 10 in a row, it's like damn, do something else. Take it to the mid range, take it to the post or something. Like do something different. But no, the game plan is to shoot more 3s, and it's kind of like, damn, do I want to watch this? And it's boring. I don't know. To me, 15 years ago, it was. I don't know. It was just. I just enjoyed it more. Maybe because I was a kid. I just enjoyed it more. I don't know, but I get it. Man. But make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Check out shout out to JxmyHighroller once again. Check out the last JxmyHighroller video right here, and check out another video. Something right here, and I'll catch y'all next time, man. Peace.